Hey everybody, Stippling Vaughn, and it is Sunday Stippling. You can tell from the background noise that you know where I am. I'm at my local dive bar. There's my bartender. Always keeps me well supplied with my cherry Coke. And we're still working on the same piece that we've been working on. So, you can see I've got pretty much the creature done. Almost done with the skeleton. Just slowly working on it, plugging away. I want to talk today about the subject of the value of a signature when you go to a convention. Let's get this more centered. When I started going to shows, most artists, they were still getting work, so they weren't charging for a signature. You had some that did, most did not. That has changed, and most artists charge for a signature, and each one what they charge is their own choice. Most artists these days charge $5 for a signature. Some charge, there's a few still that charge like $2 a signature. But most, they charge $5. For me, when I go, now that I know more of who charges, who doesn't, what I'll do is, for instance, and I'll use Brett Breeding as the example. He charges $5 a signature. So I'll go through my collection and I'll pick out 4 books. 4 books that he's done the inks for that I really like. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll pick a book that very early in their career or something unusual. I like to get in books that they weren't well known for, to have them sign those books. And some artists, they'll ask, hey, do you want me to sign this directly to you? And many times when they do say, hold on, I gotta readjust a little foot. Many times when they do, I say yes. Yeah, sign it to me. Because it shows I'm getting these books. I'm not getting these books signed to throw them up on eBay. I'm just going and getting, well, they're for my own collection. And my collection has been growing significantly. And I enjoy it. I like going through and looking at the books that I have that are signed. But I'm noticing that some artists now are charging more and more. And it comes down to, what's the value of the signature? For me, it comes down to their body of work. Some artists, if they made it a name for themselves really quick, they're like, oh, I'm going to charge a shitload of money for my signature. And so it's like, are you really worthy of that? You don't have a body of work. For instance, I say Claus Jansen. I think he charges about $8 to $10 for a signature. And for him charging that much money, it's worth it. He has the body of work. He has such a long career in it. And he's worked on such prominent pieces of work that, yeah, I think he can get away with, and he was validated to charge that much money. And then there's other artists, I look at what they're charging, and I'm like, no, you're not worth it. You haven't been in the industry long enough. Now, I did see recently one artist, he was charging an exorbitant amount of money for his signature, and I figured it out why he was charging so much. He intentionally priced himself out of the price range for doing signatures because his money is doing commissions right there on the spot, doing headshots, doing bust shots, doing full color pieces. That's where he's making his money. So he's intentionally priced himself out of the market for doing signatures intentionally, so that way he can focus on doing those, because you can make more money on those than, and I'll be honest, and this artist I'm speaking to, I don't want to give out names. People that go to the shows, you can tell, you might know who I'm talking about. This artist used to not charge for signatures, and I remember seeing him struggling trying to get pieces done and losing money because of the fact that he was not charging for a signature. Now he charges an exorbitant amount, specifically so he doesn't sign a lot of books, and he does a lot more work doing headshots and busts and all that stuff. Which, again, I kind of look and go, you're not going to get a signature from me anymore. I'm not going to pay for a signature. But I can understand why he's doing that. Because like I said, and the artist I'm speaking about has been in the industry a long time. A very long time. So I understand that. Other artists, like I said, they haven't earned the value of that signature yet, and sometimes it can be frustrating. Another thing also that I see a lot when I go to shows is I'm starting to notice that creators that have starting to develop a YouTube presence are much more, they're exuberant when they see you at a show. They're happy to see you. You tell them who they are, and if they're familiar with you from making comments on them when they're live streaming or their videos, they are like, "Oh my God, that's you!" Because we all use handles on YouTube, and they're a lot more, like I say, exuberant, happy, enthusiastic to meet you. And they're like, I'm meeting my fans, and this is so much more fun now that I'm doing YouTube. And there's some artists or creators that aren't on YouTube, that are doing their own work, and I think it's time for them to step into the YouTube era and start doing some videos and have a podcast. I think it would help them greatly. And because it's like, John Mayall even said how as the market continues to fall, you're going to have more creators who aren't Comicsgate getting on YouTube to promote themselves, to promote their work. Comicsgate doesn't have a copyright on this stuff. They're the first to start it, but you know damn well others are going to start doing it, and you can't bash them for doing it. It's a model that's developed from Comicsgate that works, and how the campaigns have gone up dramatically in sales, and there's being so more books available, it warrants it. So and when I go to shows now, if it's a creator that already kind of has it in them, they're happy, they want to see they're happy to see the fans, very appreciative of them having books for them to sign, and very appreciative, especially if it's their own book. That's the key thing. Is a lot of times if you've shown that you like their work, and that you've supporting them by buying their own produced book, they don't have a problem with signing stuff that they did when they're in the mainstream, because by and large a lot of these creators, they understand the fact that, hey, the reason why you're buying this book from me now is because you followed me when I was working on Superman or Spider-Man or Batman or The Flash. And then there's others that they sit on their high horse. And I think I would like to see more of, when you go to shows, seeing more and more YouTube content creators there, and for those creators that have developed a following to be given more respect at the shows and not be like, because they didn't work on Superman, Batman, they're being relocated to Artist Alley area, and it's so hard to get noticed there, and they get crammed together like sardines in Artist Alley that it's frustrating and disappointing. I'm starting to follow more and more people that they're creating their own books, and when you see them, when they're posting videos of them at shows, they've got this really small area that they could work with where they're having very successful campaigns, but creators that used to work in the mainstream, because they worked in the mainstream and they aren't doing as successful doing crowdfunding, getting the big real estate areas. And I think promoters need to start looking at the success, not with your success in mainstream, but your success with your crowdfunded book. And I think it's very important moving forward with conventions, because we gotta be honest, conventions are starting to die, but they have the possibility to have resilience. But the promoters need to see the value in the content creators and get them so you have the small content creator sitting directly next to a large quote unquote name artist. Because again, they're just as appreciative of their fans, and them sitting next to a name artist, it gives them the possibility of expanding their fan base for A, the books that they're selling at the show, and B, gives them the ability to expand on their campaigns moving forward in the future. So, because I do want to still see artists at shows. I do still want to see small content creators being successful. Because I'm one of them. So the only way that's going to happen is if the promoters change their ways and look at the model they're using and say, how can I make this a more successful venture? The perfect example I'll give you is in the music era. When MTV started, okay, they were kind of like a radio station. They had to pay a royalty to Michael Jackson because they were playing his video. They had to pay a royalty to Van Halen, a royalty for playing their music, playing their videos. And that's one of the things that led to the explosion of MTV and rap music, because it was cheap. It was cheap content that they could air. And that is but what's MTV known for? Because they're the ones that really promoted and put rap on the map, introduced rap to rural, suburban America, to this form of music that's everywhere now and is even more dominant now than ever. So I think promoters could do the same thing, where if they see a creator doing their own book and they're doing good work and they support them, make them front and center, advertise them when they're advertising, like, hey, this is who we have discovered, and this is who you need to become see, because they're the next big thing. Because this gives them it costs them more. It costs them money sometimes to get these artists to come to the bigger name artists to come to their show. So yeah, spend some money to get those bigger name artists, but then turn around and really promote the hell out of these smaller creators, because you you can get them for much less money, or even if you're still charging them. If you're charging them to be there, okay, promote them, because that way, when they get to the point where you might need to pay them, you can pay them much less because you've created a connection with them, and most importantly, these creators will recognize the fact that this specific promoter is the one who put my name, really helped me get my name out there, and really helped me become successful. Because you got to network, you got to have loyalty to the people that help you get successful. So that's my soapbox moment of the day. I really like to hear your opinion on this matter, so feel free to like and leave a comment on what you feel on this subject. And just like I said, I do want to hear from you. I want to hear what you have to say and your opinion. Also remember, I do have my own book, and that book is Scat Investigators. It's my ash can. It's done old school. It's done completely in black and white, or in a copy paper. It's only $5 for the book and $5 for shipping. Reach out to me or any one of my social media links under Stippling Vaughn, and I can send a copy out to you. Until then, folks, remember, this is a stressful world. Life is stressful. And that's why you just take it all one day at a time.